Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe's Classic Video Games back with another cool pinball repair video for you today. We have been working on this Williams Lucky 7 System 3 pinball machine, one of their very first solid state games. And I've done several videos on it and we have got it up and running, but we need to tweak some stuff. So today we're going to see if we can maybe finish it up in this video if we don't run into too much trouble. So we did one video where we showed kind of the condition it was in when we got it, and we worked on the power supplies. And our buddy James had sent us some boards from his Williams Flash pinball machine that he wanted us to look over. So we've been working on those a little bit as we go along, testing both in the machine at the same time. So we did a video where we were messing with the power supplies. If you've got a Williams System 3 through 6 power supply, you might want to watch that video. If you don't, you still might want to watch it because it was cool. And then the next video we did, we looked at some MPUs. We had 3 different MPUs. We tried them all out in the game. They all worked. And we worked on them a little bit, but they didn't need too extensive, they didn't need any repair that was too extensive. And then we did a video where we worked on the driver board. We had a couple issues with those, but nothing major. Had some bad solenoid drivers, and we checked some PIA chips and replaced some connectors and all of that. And we've got the thing up and running, but it's still got a few issues. We've still got some things that we need to work through. So I'll kind of show you what it's doing. The first thing I want to mess with is the solenoids and the, I'm pointing back there because the chimes are back there. The chimes sound pretty bad. So they work, but they're bad. So it just, so we got to fix that, right? So that's the first thing I'm going to do. So let's pop up the playfield and see what they look like and see what we can do to make them better. So here are the chime boxes. They're not easily removable because the coils are wired in. So, but we can work on them right where they're at. I can see what the problem is. Basically, so the coil comes up through the plunger comes up through the coil and hits the bottom of the bar. But if you look, there's supposed to be rubber spacers in here. This game's from 1977, so they have completely dried out and broke apart. They're even kind of sticking, so the bars are sticking and stuff. So it's just we need to get those bars isolated from the metal posts that hold them up with some rubber spacers, and that should make them sound a lot better where they'll peel out like they're supposed to. So we'll see. I'll take a couple of those apart and we'll look and see what we're starting with. Okay, so you can see how it's just completely deteriorated. That's your problem. You just need the bar to be isolated from the metal. If it hits this metal, right now it's sitting on the metal, you get that crappy sound. That one doesn't sound too bad, but so we're going to replace the bushing. You also need to make sure that this little sleeve is on there so that the metal can't hit the metal bar that's holding it up. There's what's left of the bushing on the bottom of the plate. Those go on top, and then that, and then that. So let me replace that. I'll clean it up and replace one of them, and I'll show you the difference. Okay, so this is an exploded view from the pinballresource.com, pbresource.com. They sell parts for a lot of these older games, and it shows you a nice exploded view of it. So there is the shaft that sticks up, and this little shock mount, they call it, this little rubber piece is the part that's melted. This little vinyl sleeving is still in there. There's the bar. The little nylon washer is still there. There's the plate and the hook. Now on this particular one, there's no bushing that mounts in the actual bar. If you put those bushings in there, what it'll do is it'll make it where the bar can't move because the shaft is so thick. The bar can't move and just doesn't vibrate, so it won't hardly make any sound. It'll sound real muffled, like a xylophone with the hammers on it. So that little shock mount is what you need, and if you can't get one of those, you can just use like a ring, like a pinball ring. This is what it originally looked like, though. Okay, so it's kind of thick. So this is Marco Specialties. They sell them. They're a whopping 69 cents. But I don't have the right one, so I'm just putting a rubber ring on it. You can even put a bigger ring than that. You just want it to kind of have that same kind of thickness or close to it, so that the bar is held up about the same height from the coil, so it sounds about the same. This is what it looks like. As you can see, it's actually sitting a lot higher than the other ones because the other ones are dragging the metal. That's why they don't sound very good. And if you mess around with the plunger, one of the old ones sounds something like this. And the new one sounds like this. It's a lot brighter sound, but you want it fairly loose. It's not really held perfectly tight. These are just so, you hear it clacking, it's because it's hitting the metal. You don't want it that loose. But this, it's not touching any metal, which is why it does the peel. So I got 3 more to do. Got them all cleaned up, looking a lot better. They're all isolated now. I'm going to turn the machine on. I don't know if it makes noise when it first comes up. I don't think it does. Okay. So I'm going to see if I can start a game. I don't have the ball in there, though. It might not do that. Let's see. Much better. Okay, let's see if I can get it to do any of them. Well, it'll do the same one. It's the spinner. Well, I think you get the idea. We've got one there that I don't want to cooperate. When the ball ends, maybe it'll do it. Very cool. Maybe the drop target will do the other one. Drop targets aren't working right at the moment. We're going to do that next, I think. Well, I think we got our chimes doing their thing. They sound a heck of a lot better. So, yeah, let's look at drop targets next. They are also tripping. So in this particular game, there's only 2 drop targets, one there and one there. And these are the early Williams drop targets, just aren't that good, right? So I'm going to hit it with the ball. I'll show you why it ain't that good. Well, that one worked perfect. That one's real good, but this Williams drop target, boy, is horrible. It's just, it just doesn't drop right. So they often need to be cleaned up a little bit. So we'll pop the playfield up and look at those and see if we can get them working a little nicer. Here is the single drop target. Now, usually they came in banks of like 3, so there would be 3 next to each other. But they all work pretty much the same on the early Williams stuff. So up to about System 6 or so. Flash had a bunch of them in it, I think, if I remember correctly. So there is a little board on the back with a screw here, right? And they used it as the place to tie the wires. And then they have a diode kind of free hanging from the screw to here. Green wire here. Orange wire here. And then there is another diode going from here to here. So it kind of has, it actually has 2 sets of contacts. So I'm going to show you. But I want to show you first. Notice that this board, they've got it mounted really tight. That's the main problem that I've found in them. Let me see if the other one's better. Nope, the other one's real tight too. But that's the main problem I've seen. Okay, I'll show you that in a second. Okay, so here's the coil that resets it. And one of the things that they've done is they've committed the big no-no. They've put oil or grease or something on this steel plunger. and it has a nylon sleeve. If you're metal on nylon, you don't need any lubrication. If you do, all it will do is get dirt, grease, crap in there and screw it up. So it'll make it where it sticks and it's not as smooth as it should be. This one's fairly smooth. But basically we need to clean a lot of that crap off of there. You want that dry if you can help it. Okay, but our problem wasn't really that it won't reset. Our problem is that it doesn't score. So let me take this little board off and we can look at the other side of it. Okay, so here is the drop target, and there is a spring on the front of it. You can't really see it. It's hooked in here, right? So the spring, and remember, we're tipped up, so gravity makes this fall out of the coil, right? And the spring makes it fall because there's a little lip on the front of the drop target to make it kind of catch in place. But when the ball hits it, it knocks it off that lip and it falls. So why wasn't this one falling? Well, part of the reason is this thing is dirty, you know, so that grease on there gives it resistance. And then it has this little horseshoe on the back. And you see it's the same thing with it. It's dirty. So we're going to clean that up and we're going to put synthetic grease on it like we do on our EMs. And then let me show you how this is kind of wired. So the little horseshoe, that is a contact, you know, so this is connected to there, right? So when the target is up, it's connected. The two horseshoes are sitting right there. The two horseshoe contacts are sitting right there, and they're not connected to anything. Okay, and then you hit it and it falls. So when it falls, it wipes over this contact and this contact. So as it's falling, that gets connected to that, which is a switch, right? So it just connected a switch together. Okay, so it's the green wire and this diode here, which is the white wire. So the green wire and the white wire just connected as the damn thing's falling, free falling, and then it lands at the bottom and it stays right there. So these two are no longer connected, and now these two stay connected. So the reason it does that is to kind of save computing power, I guess. I don't know, maybe you software guys will know more about it. But basically, when it hits these, that's a switch. So it says, okay, you got your 100 points or whatever it is, right? But then it lands at the bottom and stays there. That switch is usually connected in series with the other one, or usually there'll be three in a row, like I said. And usually that'll be connected in series with the other three, so that when all three are down, it connects a switch. So why would they do that? It's so that the computer doesn't have to remember that this switch is down, plus this switch is down, plus this switch is down. So when all three of those switches are on, give them 1,000 points, and then reset the drop targets. Because that would take a little bit of processing power. So instead, the way they do it is this switch is down and it connects over to the other one, but it's not down yet. And then when that one falls down, it connects through that one to the third one, but it's not down yet. And then when the third one falls all the way down, they're connected, and that itself is a switch. And the software just says, when that switch is connected, give 1,000 points and reset them. So it's to save computing power. So let's see if I'm correct about that. Now, I know nothing about this game, but this is a orange wire, and then the diode is a white and brown wire, right? So when it's all the way down, it's connecting the orange wire to the white and brown wire. Let's see if I'm right and any of those are reused. So over here, it's the orange wire and the boom. So that orange wire, I guess, slides over to the other one. Maybe. Yeah, because look, there's no diode. Okay. So when it's all the way down, it's the middle two contacts, orange wire and a brown and white wire, a white and brown wire on a diode. But on this side, here's the orange wire coming over from that side, and it connects to this green and orange one. So what's happening? When this one's all the way down, the green and orange one is connected to the orange wire. Okay, the orange wire is connected all the way over to here. And when this one drops, the green and white wire is connected to the orange wire, which is then connected through a diode to this white and brown wire. Okay, Each switch has a diode on it. So that one doesn't have a diode because it's not really a switch. It's just connecting the wires over to here because they're connected in series. I hope that makes sense. So we're going to clean this, and when I put it back on, I'm going to leave it a little loose. If you leave it a little loose, it just works better, where this horseshoe has a little bit of, it's a little easier for it to fall. And if you don't go too loose, it's still in contact and it works just fine. But if you got it real tight, you're just creating, you know, literally spring tension against that, and you don't need it. So loosen them up, people. So I cleaned it up, put a little synthetic grease on it. That's what you want. And you want your horseshoe to be nice and shiny. Simple as that. Easy peasy, people. Let me show you this side. I did this one too. So, see, I have the board just a little bit loose. You don't want it falling off. And keep in mind, this screw that holds this, it's not for an electrical purpose. It's just to hold it in place. So, you know, you don't need a tight contact between the screw and the wire necessarily. Okay? So, look as it drops here. You're going to have to be crooked. Deal with it, people. So you'll see the little horseshoe fall down. Boop. Okay. Now you might say, oh, I don't like that the board moves slightly. Okay. Just imagine. Come on, people. Come on now. When the ball rolls over this one, right, it just touches for a second. It's just a light touch. It's just a kiss, people. It doesn't need a hug. It just needs a kiss. Right? So that one's nice and lubricated. Now you might say, now why did you lubricate it when you just told us not to? No, I told you not to put oil or any kind of lubricant if it's metal on nylon, because nylon doesn't need it, and it can even soak into the nylon, and it's just bad. Don't do it. But if you're metal on metal, yeah, you want to put something. So on all of our EMs, we always put this stuff. Synthetic grease. And it is, the reason we do that is because it is dielectric. Okay, good for electrical stuff. All right, so that's what we're going to do. Now, how did I clean that? I've got a new gimmick here. I'm going to show you my new gimmick. It's Home Shopping Network time. This is my new gimmick. We had a viewer send us these. I can't tell you what they are. It's like a sponge that's like a rock. And I think it's Japanese. But I, in fact, do not speak Japanese or read Japanese. Okay, so it's one of those. The only reason I'm guessing Japan is because the only thing in English on the whole thing says made in Japan, right? So there's all this. It's to clean rusty knives, is what I was told. Okay, now through strenuous work, I found these on Amazon, and I put a link to them on my website. So go to lionsarcade.com and you can check them out. There's a parts page at the top of our website. But these things, they work really good to clean up stuff like that. They're really like sandpaper, so you can use sandpaper too. That's what I usually use. But this is kind of neat. We figured we'd try it out. But you see I'm getting grease and stuff on it because I've been cleaning all kinds of stuff with it, right? But they work pretty good. So check those out. Go to lionsarcade.com. They're on our parts page. We also have the synthetic grease on there if you want to order any of that stuff. You can use sandpaper too, though. I don't have a link to that on the website. If you buy anything on our website, we don't sell it. It's just a link to Amazon. But it has our name in the link. And so whenever you follow that link, it gives us a tip. So we get like 3%. So these things cost like $8 for a 2-pack or something like that. So I will make almost a quarter for every one of you that goes and buys those. So people, it's not about the money. We've had some very insulting emails from time to time about people who misunderstand what's going on here, right? But if you're going to buy anything else on on Amazon, if you follow that link, like, so let's say you go follow the link to this, and then you go, you know what? I can't read that. I'm not going to buy those. I don't believe the hype. But I am going to buy a Ferrari and you buy a Ferrari. Well, since you followed this link, it gives us 3% of the Ferrari that you bought. Can you believe that? I didn't even believe it worked like that when it started, but then I started noticing people buying stuff that I did not send them to buy. So we appreciate everybody that's done that. So anyway, we've got it all back together. I'm going to put this one back, and then we'll see if it now drops and everything. Now, you can see that the thing drops fine without this board in play. Right? Because there's just a spring on it, and there's nothing to stop it from dropping. You don't get any kind of problem between the... this isn't really plastic. It's almost like... What is it, people? You can tell by looking at it. It's almost like that fiberglass stuff. It's harder than plastic. But you don't really get any kind of resistance there. All the resistance comes from the horseshoe in this board. So if you loosen it up just slightly, just a little bit, and you get it nice and clean, and we even put the synthetic grease on it, they work great. So let me put it back together and we'll try it. So it's a little bit loose, just a little bit. Now watch when it's up. See the horseshoe up in there? Where is it? Yeah, it's right up in there. Well, if I can see it. This is tough, people. Yeah, there you go. See how it's real loose? It's because the drop target is forward over the lip that I'm talking about. When the ball hits it, it actually moves back and then falls, right? So you get a little more pressure when it moves back. So I'm telling you, folks, loosen it up. If you loosen it up, yours can work like this. Look at that. Look at that. It's like butter. Watch, I'll show you from afar. Click. Now, do you understand that this thing is dropping uphill? Look at this. It's dropping up. I've got it so slick. I've got it so smooth the damn thing can drop up. Okay? Imagine how great it'll be when gravity's helping it. All right? So that's all you got to do. But the Williams drop targets, you need to rebuild every freaking one of them. They will all do that. And sometimes you even get that little horseshoe breaks or something. But if you ever need parts for any of that stuff, you can buy all of that at Pinball Resource. You can buy it at Marco Specialties because they were all the same on several of the games. So it's not that big of a deal. It just, you have to go through and mess with them a little bit. On the Bally targets, they had a switch on the back and a switch on the bottom. Some of them had a switch on the bottom. But it was more of a traditional switch like the other ones. So it's a lot easier to, if something's out of whack, you just clean the switch a little bit. Okay, so that's that. Let's look at these score reels a little bit. They seem to be working, but I just kind of want to look at them because it's interesting that there's a score reel in a solid state game. Okay, so I don't know if I mentioned in this video or the last one, but this is a solid state, but it was right around the time they went from EM to solid state. So it actually, they had a little bit of a worry that people wouldn't like the feel or the sound of the solid state games. So they went out of their way to put a few EM touches in it, like there are actually score reels in this particular one, and you can hear them clicking and clacking while the game's playing, like the old school score reels in the EMs. And you might think, oh, come on, that's not why they did that. It is why they did that. If you, we had a hot tip game that had one down in the bottom that you couldn't even see. They just had it down there so you could hear it moving. So it sounded like an EM pinball machine. And remember, they still had the chimes. We just messed with those. So they wanted it to kind of have that sound where it kind of sounded like an EM pinball machine because they were afraid that people wouldn't really take to it, right? So this particular one has little paper labels on it that appear to be riveted together or something. Little paper labels with the positions on them. I'm going to leave those alone, though. I don't even think I'm going to clean them because they're fairly clean. And I can just see that that's not going to work too good, trying to clean paper. So we're just going to leave them. Now, there is a little board back here that when the little thing turns, it hits a different spot, and it's using that for some kind of information so it can tell where the reel is at the moment so that it can tell what's displaying, I guess, on it. We're going to play it a little bit and see if those are working fine, but if you had to, you could take it apart like a regular score reel and get down there to that board and clean it just like we just cleaned the drop target boards. But my suspicion is it's probably working just fine. But we'll play it a little bit just to make sure. We also have some bulbs under here. It looks like maybe burnout that I guess illuminate them. But by this time, there's all of their score reels on Williams Valley were, you know, nice little works of art. So usually you don't have to do too much to them. Clearly it's working great. So our only question would be if it can't tell where it is because of this board in the back. And so the game is some kind of casino game. I played it just a little bit, but I haven't read the rules, haven't done anything. We checked the switches while we were in the test mode, and it seems like all the switches are working. So I believe we're cool on that. So I'll put that back together, and we'll just check it out whenever we play it. Now, we did have one bulb that isn't working, this one. And I don't really know why that is, but we might have a bad diode or a bad socket or something. I've swapped the bulb already and it didn't fix it. Whenever these are in a switch matrix, it's really hard to lose one bulb, usually if it's not just a burnout bulb, because you've got a matrix, so you would lose a whole line of bulbs if it's the board. So all the bulbs up to that one are working and all the bulbs on the row are working, just that one isn't working. So it's pretty much got to be a wiring thing, or the bulb itself is bad, or the socket's bad, or something like that. So let me try swapping another bulb in it just to make sure I swap the right one, and we'll test it out next. Well, I was going to show you what it was, but I had touched it a little bit when we were talking about it. When I turned it back on, it was working. So I guess it was just a loose connection on the socket. Now if I mess with it, it doesn't go off. So I think it was just a bad luck thing. I will say this about the Williams lamps. Just my experience, I've had probably, realistically, maybe 30 of these that I've worked on, something like that, 30 Williams. I've had a lot more Bally's, you know. Williams and Bally did their lamps different. Williams used a lamp matrix, and I think they run on like 18 volts, and for some reason, whenever the way the matrix works, only 6 volts gets to the bulb or something like that. I believe that's how it works. But for whatever reason, on a Williams game, the bulbs last a lot longer. So if any of you guys are old school pinball heads, maybe you can, pinheads, maybe you can tell me down below if you agree. I've gotten tons of Williams games that have the original bulbs in them and they still work. Now we already went through and replaced all these, but except for those 3. But they're replaced now. Maybe you can tell me if you've ran into the same thing. It's just something about the way the matrix works. They don't burn out the same. I don't know. Now on a Bally, they have an individual SCR that runs silicone controlled rectifier, I believe that is. SCR that runs each bulb, and the Bally's bulbs burn out all the time. Not necessarily in a where it's a pain, you know, where oh man, every time I turn around a bulb's out. But you do get burnt bulbs in Bally's. The Williams ones doesn't seem like anywhere near as much. I mean, like 3 times, they last 3 times as long or something like that. It's not even close. That's been my experience at least. You may have seen we did a video on a KISS pinball. You can find it here on our channel that a guy actually put on location after he bought it from us. A couple years later, he brought it back to us like every freaking bulb in the game was burnt out. And it wasn't like some kind of surge. It was like 3 bulbs still worked, and everything was filthy, and all of the bulbs were burnt out, something like that. So it's just something about the way the matrix works on these. So anyway, it looks like all of our bulbs are working because we only had that one that was out and those 3 there that we didn't catch before. So I guess we're going to play it a little bit, right? We could work on the display boards and stuff, but they work. I mean, and somebody serviced them because they re-glued some of the displays, so there's really nothing for me to fix on them. Oh, the flippers. Yeah, we kind of need to mess with the flippers. We'll look at those. But, you know, I was playing it, and they work pretty good, so I hate to mess with them too much, but let me lean it down where we can get to the flippers, and we'll mess with that a little bit. So here's our flippers. Now, there's a couple different ways you can do it. You can buy a rebuild kit that's got a bunch of the parts that you can replace, and you can do that every 2 months if you want. Or you can start analyzing if stuff needs replaced, right? So, and another way of thinking about it is these may be the original ones or something. I don't know. So you might want to replace them. Here comes the popo. I think it's an ambulance, actually. Man, they're all out back. I wonder what's going on. If they come, if the camera cuts off, it's because they came in and drugged me out the door, people. I haven't done nothing wrong, though. They shouldn't do that. So what was I saying? Oh, yeah, so if it's the original stuff, you know, you might think, well, man, it's been 44 years. It's time to replace it, isn't it? I don't know. People have worked on this, you know. I mean, obviously this thing has been serviced before, so I don't know how old this stuff is. So you kind of want to get where you can look for wear and replace things that have wear on them, right? So you're just looking for movement. So if the coil twists a little bit, it's supposed to, right? And you want that so that whenever the little plunger goes in, that it can pull back out easily, right? And you want to check and just see how springy it is. I mean, it pulls in easy and it pushes back out easy. And plus, I played it earlier, and they're pretty damn strong, or it seemed that way. We'll see. But both of the end of stroke switches look like they're not adjusted very well, right? So look at this one. So basically, this pulls in, and it's real strong right now when it pulls in because one of these is shorted. So this switch is closed, so it's shorting these two lugs together, making the coil less powerful. And then whenever it gets in, it opens that, which makes it where the coil, making the coil more powerful. Now it's making the coil less powerful by adding in another coil, the second coil. So it's got more resistance, and it can hold open. But if you look, I don't like how that's working. See the short blade? It's not really moving much. So, I mean, those are touching probably, but just barely. So you want to bend them a little bit. You want to get it where when it opens, you want to see that small blade move so that it's actually wiping it. You can use there's a little tool to bend those instead of trying to do it by hand. I just want to get more of a wipe. Doing it a little bit, but that's not enough of a gap either. You want a little more. But if you go over to this side, see how it opens way up? That's way too much of a gap. Okay, so we want to bend it out a little bit. Okay, see it moving? You can see the small blade moving. So I like that better. So you want to get those nice and clean, the contacts with a file. And then also these ones are basically the same thing. The same power runs through these. So you want to get those nice and clean. It's also very useful to replace the nylon sleeve through here. But I mean, if it's moving well, you don't really have to do that either. Everybody always wants to rebuild them and put all new parts constantly in them. But hell, they're working good. I don't know. We'll play it a little bit. We'll see if it needs all new parts. Maybe it does. So the left drop target doesn't always stay up. You got to check that out. I'm not sure if the left kicker scored that time. Oh. They were trying to play melodies with the chimes. It's kind of a weird sound. Ooh. Okay, see how the right one popped up? I mean, they both popped up because I hit they were both down. Whoa. Strange to play one before they invented the soundboards. I don't know, folks. The flippers seem plenty powerful enough to me. Alright, so I dropped that left one. Let's see if they reset. See, it came up and it went back down, but the thing is, it doesn't have the ability to do, like on some of the later games, they had memory targets where it would, you see it's trying to reset it. It should reset it if it's trying to reset it. Some of the Stern games would reset and then go back down, but that one has no coil to lower it again, so that's a mistake. It shouldn't be doing that. Okay, the 1,000-point chime. Yeah, we still got some issues. The 1,000-point chime sounds weaker than the other ones. And that drop target, I think it may be that the pulse isn't quite strong enough to get it all the way up. Which, we saw a little bit of that going on in the test mode too. So I wonder if, remember, this is the driver board that had a little bit of corrosion on it. So I wonder if one of those pre-driver chips that drives a row of solenoids, I wonder if that one chip is acting up a little bit. It doesn't quite, there's some other stuff too. Like it says, making both drop targets scores the lit value. So I should get 10,000 points. I'm at 47,550. Now I'm at 58,550. So it did give me the 10,000, and then I probably got 1,000 for the drop target. I don't know how these are working either. Let's see. Let's see if we can figure it out. Now we've got the 3 shamrocks, which says double bonus. I don't know if that... I don't have the instruction card here to even see how it was supposed to play. Change left reel, change center reel, change right reel. Okay, double bonus, but I don't have a bonus. But I've got the 3 shamrocks. Let's see if that does anything fun. So we're at 60,550. Yeah, it just ended the game because I had no bonus. I don't know. It's resetting sometimes. Sometimes it isn't. Maybe it'll work its way out. And so that rolls around. There's no shooter lane switch, so it can't tell that I shot it until we go through up here somewhere. So I suppose when you hit one of these switches, that's going to stop. Yeah. It says 1,000 and advanced bonus. So I've got 1,000 points, and it moved that over to 3,000, which is the first bonus spot. And so now this says 10,000, but I don't know what these are doing. Okay, so diamond, diamond, but see, this doesn't seem to be doing anything. I wonder how you score that. Making both drop targets scores the lit value. I'm gonna have to look it up a little bit. Let me read the instructions. So I can figure out what the if those are scoring right. I don't even know what they're supposed to be doing. So here is the instruction card. It says align symbols on reels to increase reel value. Making both drop targets scores the reel value and resets targets for possible repeat scoring. Targets reset only when some reel value is actually lit. Real value is as follows, blah, 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 blah. Diamond, 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 30,000. So when I have it on diamond, 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 the 30,000 point light should be lit up. So I wonder if that will do it with one drop target down. Let me go look. I'm on diamond, 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 and the 30 actually is lit up, but I don't think it was earlier. So let's change it. I've got the ball still sitting over there. Let's change it to horseshoe, horseshoe, horseshoe should be 20,000. Yeah, see, I don't have my 20,000. So I think I'm going to have to clean those three score reels. They're just not acting like we want them to. So we're at 9,000 points. That's 10,000. That's 11,000. And I think it said they only reset if some value is selected. So I should have 20,000 selected right now, but we don't because it can't tell where it is on the score reel. Something's dirty in there that needs to be cleaned up. All right, well that's next then. So we got that. This isn't resetting all the time, and I'm not so sure about the chimes. There may be that one chime sounds to me like it's quieter than the other ones. Okay, so I took them apart and cleaned the little plate, same way, with our same stuff, this little knife cleaner thing. Put a little synthetic grease on them. And now it looks like things are different. So it says that if there's one clover, it should be 5,000, okay? If you have two clovers, it should be at 10,000. And if you have three clovers, it should be at 20,000. What do you think? And then if you have three diamonds, you should be at 30,000. If you have three horseshoes, you should be at 20,000. And I think that's it. Oh, the sevens. If you have the sevens, you should be at 30, and the special is lit. Did I just do the sevens already? So anyway, I think we got that all working good now. So we got that. I'm not really happy with the sound of that 1,000 one though. The other ones are just louder. That seems to, I don't know, maybe it's working its way out. I mean, even the 1,000, it sounds a little better now, doesn't it? It's about the same volume. I might just be nitpicking now, people. I don't know. What's your opinion? I'm sure y'all aren't happy. Some of you are. Some of you are as laid back as me. Okay. Watching that left drop target. Is that the only one that rings? No, that one does too. Boy, it sure sounds like a casino back in the day, doesn't it? I don't know, folks. I think we're doing pretty good, actually. You see how it did me? All right, well, I'm gonna bite the bullet and do it. I'm gonna pull the driver board back out. I'm gonna replace the transistor for the left drop target. I'm gonna replace the transistor for the 1,000 point chime, and I may replace the driver for it too. So let's pull that out and take a look at it. If you saw our previous video we did on the driver board, this one had a little bit of corrosion on these 4 chips here that drive the solenoids, but the two that we think are a little bit off, the left drop target and the 1,000 point chime, are driven by 2 different ones. So if they were both driven by the same chip, I might replace it too, thinking that maybe that chip is driving them weakly or something. So I went ahead and that's the one that does the left drop target, and this is the one that does the 1,000 point chime. So I'm going to swap those just so we know that's not the problem. It could be the pre-driver transistor too. Or I guess that's what that's called. You know, we're kind of chasing our tail, and it's a minor thing, but I do need to get it where that drop target consistently stays up. So, but so all I did was replace these 2, and we're going to pop it back in and see if that changed anything. Okay, folks, let's try it. We're watching our left drop target, and we're listening to see if the chime sounds any better. Sounded about the same, but the drop target stayed up. Okay. We dropped our left target, but I don't know if it scored. See if it resets. Okay, it reset good. Drop the left target. It does sound a little, it just sounds a little quieter, but maybe there's just like that. I mean, it sounds decent. And the target reset again. Left target, right target, they both reset. Yeah, baby. I think the targets. So I don't know if the trend. I don't know if the driver board had anything to do with the issue with the target, but it seems like it's hanging in there now. Like I said, folks, Williams drop targets, not the greatest. By the way, it sounds completely different because the glass is off too. So it'll sound, the chimes won't sound quite like that once the glass is on. You won't hear the ball rolling across the playfield like that either. I like to reset them one more time. Get it. Missed. Oh, it bounced a little bit. There we go. Well, it reset them, so that's cool. You got to understand too, whenever it's scoring a bunch, it's hard for it to be as loud because the bar is still vibrating, and also that little plunger has to go all the way up, hit it, drop all the way back down, go all the way back up for it to be the, if the 10,000 one is just hitting at one time, it's going from the foam that it sits on to the bar and then falling back down. But on the 1,000 point one, since it scores so much on 1,000 points, if it rings more than once, it has to go up, down, and then back up. And if it doesn't fall all the way back down before the coil pulls it in again, it wouldn't be as loud naturally. So I don't know. I'm probably just nitpicking. The thing's playing pretty decent. So I think I'm going to keep working on it. Go ahead and leave your comments down below. I'm sure you all know what's wrong with it. I am positive I'm going to get 50 people telling me what I did wrong and what I could do to fix it. So go ahead and line them up starting from the top to the bottom down below. And I'll try to reply as many of them as I can. And I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to check out my brother Donnie. If you don't know about that, my brother Donnie has a channel here on YouTube. He's literally my brother. And if you like watching us work on these old pinball machines, you might like watching us work on old buildings. We have a couple old buildings that we bought in a small town near here that we are fixing up, trying to help revitalize their downtown. So go check that out, the My Brother Donnie channel. The link is down below. A good time is had by all. So we'll see you over there, and I'll see you next time. I'll film one more video of actually playing the thing and showing off the artwork and doing... I don't like to call them reviews because reviews are always critical. It's always, I don't like the way the green looks. Nah, they could have used a slightly different blue. The artwork on this plastic's good, but on this plastic I'm not so sure. Overall, I give this one a mixed bag. It's that kind of nonsense. I don't do reviews. I do admirations. Yeah, I just thought that up off the top of my head. I do admiration, so I'll do a full admiration of this damn awesome pinball machine on the next video, which will be out tomorrow. See you then. And yes, people, I did the fuse. Come on. You weren't going to ask me about the fuse. You weren't actually going to leave a comment to ask me if I did the fuse mod. Come on, people. Come on now. Of course I did the fuse. Come on, yeah, I probably told you about the fuse mod. Come on, people. Come on now. Come on now. I can't believe you were even going to ask me that. Come on now. Of course I did that. Come on now. Come on, people. Come on, people. We got to stop with asking me about the fuse mod. Of course I did the fuse mod. If you don't do the fuse mod and the bridge rectifier shorts, it burns up the wire. Come on, people. Come on now. Of course it's a system. It's a system 3. Of course come on. Come on, people. Come on now. Of course I did the fuse. Come on now.